guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, welcome. If you are an oldie, welcome back. We need to have a little chat today, a really cool, meaningful chat, and we need to be seated for that. So let me go grab a seat and then we can chat. And again, welcome back. So I want to have a little chat with you guys today, and I want us to talk a little bit more about why you don't trust yourself, and hopefully give you a couple of tips on how you can actually trust yourself. So on the reels though, like seriously, why do you not trust yourself? Well, I'm hopefully going to answer this question for you in this video. So I want you to think about the person you don't trust. I want you to think about that one person that you've lost trust in, and the one person you know just doesn't come through. You just like, as in, I'm not interested. I want you to think about that person, and I want you to think about what qualities make them untrustworthy to you. Is it the fact that maybe they didn't come through when they said that they would? Is it because they just were not reliable? What did they do to break trust? You know, there's a lot of numerous things that a lot of people do to break your trust towards them, and I want you to really think about those things deeply. And once you've thought about them, I want you to also now start thinking about how would that person begin to restore that trust in your life as far as you are concerned, which is just bringing back the relationship that you had with them. How would they begin to, amend the trust that they actually broke with you in your life? Now, one of the biggest things I want you to realize with these questions that I'm asking you is that sometimes you are that person that has broken your own trust, and that is basically why we struggle trusting ourselves. We have broken our own trust multiple times in a lot of situations. In a lot of times we never followed up on our word. We never really did what we said that we would do, and we promised ourselves things that we didn't even come through and do. And that is the biggest reason why you don't trust yourself, because the same reason why you don't trust someone else is the same reason why you will not trust yourself. So you possibly have an idea of how you would begin to actually start trusting yourself. But I want you to understand that not trusting yourself definitely goes a little bit more deeper than just you being unreliable towards yourself and you not coming through for yourself like you said you would. I want you to also realize that that also goes a lot with what we've been talking about majority of the time within the past weeks, which is validation addiction. This is probably because you have allowed other people for long enough to make decisions for you. You've allowed other people for long enough to literally control your life in a way that now you can no longer grab control over your own life. So therefore, you don't trust your own ability to take control of your own life. That sounds crazy, right? But it is absolutely normal. If you are in that situation, and if you are at a point where you feel like you've got no control or whatsoever, and you just feel like you are struggling to gain that control, I want you to realize that it is normal. I want you to realize that you're not the only one that has been through a situation like that, and a lot of us, majority of us, if not even, have been through our own fair share. But you can get out of it. So let's talk about a number of steps that I want you to begin to take in order for you to start trusting yourself. Number one is you need to start fulfilling the promises that you've made to yourself. Guys, it will go back again to goal setting. It will go back again to the to-do list. If you set goals that are not realistic, you are going to be setting yourself up for failure. And when you set yourself up for failure, what are you doing? You are actually trying to make sure you are working hard enough to not trust yourself, because you know that I won't be able to deliver that. That is unattainable for me right now and for where I am. But why are you still putting it in your list? It's basically setting yourself up for failure, and I do not encourage that at all, wherever you are, with whatever it is that you are doing. So you need to be able to start setting realistic goals over your life. You need to be able to start setting realistic to-do lists. You need to start making realistic promises to yourself. Don't promise yourself that you're going to make $1 million by the end of the week when there's not even an opportunity or a chance to make a rand today. You are going to feel like a failure, mainly because you are being unrealistic about your goals and unrealistic about the things that you want to do. But you need to begin to be realistic, and being realistic means that you look at your surrounding, you look at your reality, And with that, you dream, but package it with your capacity. We talk about capacity a lot, and I'm going to be sharing a number of videos on the channel as well about capacity, because I think it's a big conversation that we need to open up. But start setting realistic goals, start setting realistic to-do lists, and start setting realistic promises for yourself. And this also goes with the relationships that we have with people. Start being realistic about those relationships as well, because sometimes we talk about how much we were so blinded by this relationship, when all in all we knew what we were doing, we knew what we were in, we knew that this is not something that I should have done, but because we wanted to do it anyway, and probably because we didn't even know better or understand the consequences of it thereof, we continued to do it. So be super realistic about where you are. Be super realistic about your partner. Be super realistic about the friends that are in your life, because that way you don't look at yourself in the face later and be like, oh, why did I make that decision? I shouldn't have let that person in. I shouldn't have been friends with that person. But guys, honestly, deep down, 99.9% of the time, we always know when we are doing things that we shouldn't be doing. We always know when we are investing our time and energy in people that we shouldn't. We always know when something is just not meant to be in our path, and when we shouldn't even be doing it. We know. So it is important that you become so realistic with it, and that we understand that we are building from the bottom. Number two, what I would definitely actually advise you to do to begin to trust yourself a little bit more is have a relationship with yourself. That it's literally, I think this is literally going to be my last point, because it's going to cover so much. Have a relationship with yourself. Do you have a relationship with yourself? Do you even know you? Do you know what makes you tick? Do you know what makes you happy? Do you know what makes you upset? Do you know what frustrates you? Do you know what you enjoy eating? Do you spend enough quality time with you? Because the honest truth is, you will not trust somebody that you do not know. You will not trust somebody that you have not built a relationship on. Previous weeks ago, we actually did a video on selling yourself, and one of the biggest things that we spoke about was building that relationship. Now, when you build relationship with people, what you basically are doing is you are building trust. That is the fundamental of any relationship. If you are building a relationship, you are building trust. So do you have a relationship with yourself? And chances are, if you're struggling to trust yourself and you find yourself in situations where you probably don't even trust yourself at the moment, chances are you don't have a relationship with yourself. You don't really know yourself. You don't spend time with yourself, and that is something that we need to begin doing as time goes, because the more you know yourself, the more you actually go back to one, the more you start being realistic about your goals, the more you start being realistic about your relationships, the more you start being realistic about your entire life, because you know, hey, this is my cup of tea and I can handle this. Hey, I can't handle this and I'm not going to be able to do this, so therefore I'm not going to set myself up for failure. But that comes from a point of just knowing yourself, from a point of self-awareness, from a point of spending a lot more time with yourself, from a point of just being kinder to yourself and saying, sure, this might not be my thing. And the important thing to actually realize about the whole knowing yourself and then like fulfilling the promises that you make to yourself is that, as realistic as they should be, sometimes they're not always positive, and that is okay. That is completely okay. Sometimes it's just being realistic and saying, this is my weakness, and I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I'm going to be brought down by this weakness, and that is definitely okay. It's not always about the Humpty Dumpty, the pumpy things that get us the money, that get us the hustle and the fast life. It's not always about that. Sometimes it's just about us being super honest enough within ourselves, with our own minds, and within having that relationship with yourself and say, I have that bad character flaw, and maybe I don't want to be in that situation because it might bring out the worst in me in something that I'm trying to work on. So therefore, I will refrain from doing it. It's still like that, but you need to start having a relationship with yourself. Do you spend enough time in your head? And I mean positively in your head, where you are analyzing, where you are affirming, when you're talking to yourself, when you just within you, do you really spend that much time with yourself? And it is really important that you begin to do those things. So those are just the 2 points I actually want to share with you. They definitely go hand in hand. But one of the last things I will say that I want you to realize within this journey of learning to trust yourself is that it is a process. It is a trial and error. Like I said in the beginning, imagine yourself trying to rebuild trust with someone else, right? The small things that they get wrong in the beginning might be a little bit trigger. So sometimes you will say, cool, I want to trust myself, I want to be good, and this is what I want to do. And then you slip tomorrow. But slipping tomorrow, like I said in the consistency video, does not mean that you have failed. Consistency is frequency. We are saying this all the time on the channel. This means that you might not get it right 5 out of 5, but you have the opportunity to get it right 3 out of 5. You have the opportunity to get it right 4 out of 5. You have the opportunity to get the higher mark on whatever it is that you are doing. So understand that you are a work in progress, and be a lot more kinder to yourself. And actually, self-awareness and just knowing yourself allows you to be a little bit more kinder to yourself, because you know that if this is my weakness, or if this is something that I'm currently struggling with, I'm going to slip every now and then, but I am constantly going to work on it. And like I always advise you guys to just remain in prayer, remain in the Word of God, because only then are you able to work on them properly. Sometimes to even get all of these things done, you probably need some professional help, and it is still okay to admit that you need a little bit more help outside of your internal thing or outside of the church that you go to. It is still okay, and you can go ahead and do that. But what I need you to do, like I am always encouraging you to do, is choose yourself. Choose to work on yourself. Choose to become a better person for you. Choose to spend more time with yourself. Just choose yourself a little bit more. And I think if we just carry on that choosing ourselves mindset in the most positive way possible, we are going to finish the year like the bosses that we think we are. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that it was fruitful to you in some way. If it was, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know what other things actually you are willing to try, or you have been doing, to actually get to rebuild that trust, and to rebuild that relationship you had, or that relationship you want to actually build with yourself. So I love you guys so much. Don't forget to like, comment on this video, and subscribe to the channel. Don't also forget to hit the notification bell so that every time I post a video, you are notified. Have yourself a beautiful one. Love you so much. Mwah. Bye.